recording here. All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world right now. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar as an introduction to enterprise analytics and mastering Google Analytics, presented to you by InfoTrust, LLC, and Google. Just before we dive into it, a few housekeeping items. There is a chat pane and questions panel in the GoToWebinar console. So if you have questions along the way or you want any clarification, feel free to post in there. We'll be monitoring that throughout the webinar, as well as we'll have some time at the end of the webinar to review those questions that may have came up. This webinar is also going to be recorded, so we will send out a follow-up email in the next couple of days with how to access the recording if you want to reference this later or share with colleagues. It's perfectly fine. We will definitely provide that for you. This webinar will probably run about 45 minutes or so with some room for questions, but again, feel free to ask along the way. So without further ado, I will go ahead and just jump in to introductions. Who are your presenters today? My name is Amin Shaki. I'm the Regional Managing Director for MENA for InfoTrust. We're a Google Analytics certified partner, Google Analytics Premium Authorized Reseller, as well as Google Tag Manager Specialized Company. And we help organizations deploy Google Analytics and Web Analytics measurement strategies and leverage the data to improve digital marketing activities. We also have joined here Roberto Croci from Google. He's the Enterprise Analytics Lead for Emerging Markets. Really appreciate Roberto joining this webinar here to give us some insights from Google's perspective as well. There's our Twitter hashtag or handle there at the bottom. Feel free to tweet if anything is interesting or not, I suppose. Feel free to ping us on there as well. So for today's agenda, we have a few topics related to enterprise analytics and an introduction to this topic. First, we want to talk about the challenge with analytics, particularly in this region, and then how Google and partners such as ourselves are solving those challenges with Google Analytics. We're going to talk a little bit more also about Google Analytics Premium, the enterprise analytics solution that Google has. And then I want to talk a little bit about the implementation best practices and get a little bit technical, but more just actionable, if you will. So if you're looking for actually how to get started and how to roll out the improved enterprise analytics architecture or measurement plan, definitely stick around to the last portion where I'll give some recommendations and best practices based on our experience. And then, of course, we're going to have some room for questions. So at this point, I think I'm going to pass over presenter rights to Roberto, as well as the speaking access. So Roberto, I think you should have access of my screen very shortly, and you may need to unmute yourself. Let me just double check real quick that I can mute myself as well. Roberto, do you have control over my screen? Roberto, do you have control over my screen?
Hello, everyone. No, I cannot see your screen anymore, actually. Now, yes. Can you hear me?
Yep, Roberto, go ahead. We can hear you, and if you have control of my screen, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just trying to skip to the next slide. So let me see if I have fully control, because I'm clicking on your screen, but I'm not moving to next. Now, yes, perfect. We are there. So hello, everyone. Thanks, Amin, for the introduction. It's really a pleasure joining this webinar and sharing some insights from our perspective about measurement, especially in MENA and our enterprise analytics solution. The main challenge with analytics, so most enterprises share in common challenge with analytics. Enterprise-sized organizations need enterprise-level data solution. The question we want to address today with this webinar is, what does enterprise mean to you when we talk about analytics? How a modern analytics solution can address the enterprise level needs and requirements that your organization might have. And note here, enterprise needs are sophisticated. The right analytics solution has to scale for not just a few people, but throughout the whole company. And we will see that it's not only about technology. We believe that to fully capitalize on the potential of digital marketing, advertisers need to embrace advanced enterprise level analytics solutions and learn from the wealth of data that digital technologies provides, address fragmentation in not only in technology, in data, but also in digital strategy, in teams, tools, and so on. So make full use of the full capabilities of digital talent will also be an issue that we will be discussing today. Just one second, I'm just some delay in skipping the slides. So in terms of top challenges, the top challenges we often hear about when it comes to deploy and operationalize enterprise analytics solutions in an organization are all about management, support, and resources. Unifying technology, I think that 75% of organizations believe integrated platforms could meet all their needs, but the reality today is that too many systems and vendors are used, with a lack of strategy and context. Unifying and sharing customer data, for example, think about that 82% of marketers fail to see a single view of the customer today, even though it's one of their top priorities. And 60% of marketers struggle with real-time personalization of content. So performing activities in sync is also a major challenge here in the market. When it comes to enterprise-level reports, enterprise users want to view conglomerate data from multiple properties in a single interface. Users want to be empowered to better understand the overall picture of their business, compare the performance of different business units, and study, let's say, across the cross-domain and cross-app journey of the visitors. See if I can speed up the transition from one slide to the other. Trying to, as I don't see the next slide on that means. Here you are. So I often hear about big data. Think big, go big. But in my mind, nothing can be further from the truth. Large, cumbersome projects often take vast resources to come to fruition and a considerable amount of time. And while they're not noble in their pursuit, they do help to address the here and now. So often when I'm asked about how to approach these issues, the image of a microscope comes to my mind. And if you ask me why, the answer is because it keeps me grounded in a simple notion that small movements can often yield big discoveries. So small wins add to big impact. So the way in which we recommend customers to approach these issues is to try and simplify and get back to the basics. We recently did a study in the US together with Boston Consulting Group, where we demonstrated that advertisers using advanced segmentation and targeting techniques and tackling performance barriers can achieve a 30% improvement in cost per action, for example, CPA, along with increased customer engagement and campaign performance. Some advertisers in this study improved the CPA by more than 50%. So even those that thought that they were already operating at the best practice level were surprised to see such gains. So this is to me a key message. Then when it comes to data democratization and integration, in my opinion, there are interesting parallels between the world of sports and the world of data analytics. Think about people. I'm trying to transition meanwhile to the next slide. Think about people. Most fans acknowledge that championship teams are made up of more than just one or two all-star players. Even superstars such as, I don't know, Michael Jordan needed a solid supporting cast of teammates before they could compete for a championship. The legendary racing driver, for example, Michael Schumacher, needed equally talented engineers, mechanics, pit crew members on his Ferrari team in order to dominate Formula One racing. So the message is having the right talent and sufficient resources on your digital analytics team is crucial to your long-term data-driven success. Championship sport teams also forge a winning culture that permeates the entire organization. everyone puts the greater goals of the team before individual agendas or internal politics. None of these championship teams immediately started with a winning culture. Over time, it was developed, nurtured, and enriched. So plugging in a digital analytics solutions will not automatically transform your company from day one into a data-driven organization. Data-driven culture will need to be purposefully cultivated over time. Championships teams bring together all the required pieces on a repeated basis to form legendary sport dynasties. So that's the key message. They clearly play to win, not just play. So when it comes to digital analytics, we are striving for sustainable excellence, not just a few consecutive winning seasons, right? So, however, companies that want to create a data-driven dynasty can follow the example of championship sports franchisees, as we discussed it, by focusing on leadership, strategy, people, process, technology, and organizational dynamics. Again, it's not only about technology, but data democratization and integration is one of the challenges we can address by leveraging the proper technology. But to be very honest, this is not easy. And let me tell you one secret: data is not easy. Data is difficult. We collect data from customers in different ways, from different communication channels, using different technologies. So this creates different data sets that do not talk to each other, not natively. So we have to extract, transform, load ETL, this data into a common database where we can perform analysis, into a data warehouse, then maybe in the cloud. The technology breakthrough that got the name big data comes from solving this problem. Yes, the mainframe analytics system is too slow and this is too expensive. So we may use many small, inexpensive disk drives, but the data still has to get into the mainframe for analysis. So what we need is, we need a technology that makes data easier. As this is not easy, this is difficult. Data is difficult. And things we have to consider. So for sure, we have to consider the consumer touch points, information, data that is collected, and how this data is stored. There's no big shocker here. The number of consumer touch points has exponentially increased. The info data collected is infinitely bigger and more complex than it used to be. And we already see it today with the rise of, let's think about connected TVs, wearables, streaming radio, on-demand video, self-driving cars, digital videos, whatever. And while the day has dawned for the connected consumer, the trend will eventually evolve into a more simple yet sophisticated way of viewing the consumer. Where data simple becomes data, it will not matter where it's sourced. So you will see marketing budgets that were formerly TV heavy begin to allocate across various channels, and do so in a data-driven, model-backed manner. So with these other trends in mind, it will become easier to reach the consumer when the consumer wants. The things to consider, though, for you as an enterprise are, how do you plan to analyze the data? And how do you plan to optimize your data? Our marketplace has historically lived off backwards looking metrics, trying to play, that old adage that past behavior is the best indicator for future behavior. But this will become an obsolete way of thinking, because everything will become real-time and personalized to the individual. So with the data coming together along with the technology to support real-time personalized campaign creation, the byproduct of this will be new metrics that fuel the business. Different KPIs and tracking solutions exist within and beyond marketing departments. So we see different goals and different ways of measuring across divisions, such as in-store sales, call center sales, sales from digital marketing, search, display, social, email, and no single source of truth. No way to analyze the implication of one marketing spend on all the channels. So what we need is also supporting processes. And let's get back for a while to our parallel between the world of sports and the world of data analytics. When it comes to processes, the managers and coaches of championship teams are constantly developing and refining their tactics to help their teams execute more efficiently and also more effectively. So these teams develop specific plays and in-game strategies that help them to beat their opponents, for sure. Remember that the superior team can be defeated by an inferior competitor when it fails to execute its game plan. So to have an effective digital analytics program, it's important for us to develop internal best practices and well-defined processes. So this is key. And also when it comes to people, training is a key component. It's very difficult to find experienced professionals. This might be a challenge that we still face in the region. But despite ongoing advancement in analytics technology, this is key to remember and to mention. Human beings will continue to play a central role in the success of the digital analytics. One of the main aspects of any analytics program is resources, is people. So the message I want to give you is you will need to consider many factors to decide how to staff your analytics team. Let's say based on the number of internal customers across your business teams, divisions, subsidiaries, and overall complexity, of course, of your business, you will need to determine the right amount of analytics professionals to meet the data-driven needs of your organization. So you will need to plan also training and development path accordingly. The different roles and responsibilities need to be defined in terms of business reporting, deep dive analysis, technical deployment, project management. And probably you will also need to decide the appropriate mix and allocation of internal staff and external consultants, like we are here today with one of our partners. So, and this may depend on your organization's maturity level with digital analytics as well as staffing constraints. So finally, I think also another thing I would mention here is your organization will need to determine how to best hire and retain this breed of talent. So although you can always recruit seasoned analytics, and this might be the challenge in the region from other companies, but more and more organizations are finding success in grooming college graduates into future analytics experts. So having also a look at the broader ecosystem we have in the region might also be something important to develop together going forward. And yes, again, we mentioned big data, go big, and the approach we suggested before, so start small, get some quick wins, but it's also true that some companies just need more. Companies might need more when it comes to segmentation, analysis, customization. So, hey, for our specific business, we need to develop these more custom reports or these custom dimensions. We need to really tailor the solution according to our specific needs. We need more sophisticated reports, more data collection, because we are adding, mobile apps. We are adding, importing data from offline, and all this is increasing the overall volume of data. And we need more. We need more. So this is what enterprise are asking us. So back to our agenda that Amin shared before. So solving challenges with Google Analytics. Let's come to what Google in terms of analytics and measurement solutions in order to address all these challenges and needs. So if you think about it, it all starts with asking meaningful and actionable questions of your data. So it doesn't start with technical issues or the technical limitations of any other vendor or solutions in the market. It really starts from your KPIs, from your objectives, from your measurement strategy. And it all starts with asking meaningful questions like, how can I see week or month over month changing metrics across digital properties in a single place, so single source of truth? How can I be more data-driven with advertising budget? How can I better understand the effectiveness of my digital campaigns end-to-end, from acquisition channels to the behavior of the user on the website to their conversion? So it all starts actually with really asking meaningful questions. And when it comes to get the answers to these questions, you soon realize that technologies are in silos. When it gets to get a proper answer, enterprise users soon realize that here is the challenge. Technologies are siloed, and technology in silos are inefficient. If you look at this slide, you will see the left-hand part of this slide, you will see cross-channel digital media. Here you get all the technologies that help your organization to effectively manage your media buying. So you can have tools here that can give credit for conversions to specific channels. You can talk here about reservation buying, programmatic, buying audience in real time. All this technology that shape the cross-channel digital media landscape. But then you also have, in the center of this slide, you have cross-platform engagement solutions when it comes to understand or better understand the user behavior on a website or on different digital properties and assets, and probably build a single source of truth in terms of data layer and share the tags across different properties seamlessly or in a more efficient way. And also it comes here the tools that help you optimize the engagement of users, personalize content and services. And on the right-hand part of this slide, you will see other set of tools, other set of technologies that historically are not natively integrated with the previous tool. Customer data management, the old offline world with CRM systems, where you get offline insights into your customers and valuable customer data that cannot be deployed online because historically all these solutions vendors were fragmented. So this is the landscape today. This is the scenario. You have already probably in your organization way different tools, but these tools are fragmented, are siloed. And when you need to get back to being accountable to your customers about taking decisions or optimizing your investments, you don't have the right integrations in place as of today because these technologies were siloed and were not integrated seamlessly themselves. So what you get with Google Analytics Premium? What's the value proposition of the product? What's the future ahead? What's the evolution? So let me see if I can transition here. So yeah, so basically, yeah, technologies in sellers we said are inefficient. What you might expect to get whenever these technologies get integrated is that integrations open up new possibilities. Google Analytics Premium is deeply integrated with products and tools across the full Google suite. Cross-platform connections start with Google products like AdWords for sure, but Google Display Network, the GDN, DoubleClick digital marketing, YouTube, and more. Google Analytics Premium also integrates with offline data sources, including your CRM, to give you a complete view of customer behavior. Our data-driven attribution model can assign value to market touch points algorithmically across a customer's journey and show you the digital channels, devices, keywords that truly drive incremental value. On top of this, businesses can also integrate with BigQuery to analyze granular data, join massive multi-terabyte data sets in seconds. And you can even take advantage of Google Tag Manager to complete the entire marketing suite. So basically, this is the vision. The value proposition is for GA Premium is actionability. So enable these data integrations, but make it easier, as we said before, to have a keep it simple approach. So enable actionability by leveraging data integrations across technologies that were previously siloed. On top of this, all this is basically to share with you our vision that we are committed to build a successful platform. So in some ways, it's a bit like becoming a digital anthropologist in a way, because it's like using your tools, maybe tools that you already have, to uncover the truth about your customers. So ask meaningful questions. As we said before, the approach is start asking meaningful questions. So who are your customers? What are their habits? Why is this the case? And leverage, all this in an actionable way. So by understanding your customers, you can meet them on their own terms and in ways that will really resonate with them. So this is the key purpose of enhancing and developing our measurement solutions. Now, maybe many of you have seen this framework before, but basically, the roadmap ahead for Premium is becoming a people-centric strategy, people-centric, user-centric analytics tool. Basically, we have a framework where we advise customers to start accumulating data, then analyzing data, and then taking action on data, because we said actionability is really the key differentiator. So for accumulate, it means that we have to make sure we have a comprehensive view of the customers themselves. It means piecing together all of the data you have about your customers in one place. For analyze, it means that having the right tools and techniques to really understand your customers, not just related campaigns, channels, or sessions, really have an holistic view of your customers. And we have been mentioning about DoubleClick integrations, attribution, that we will deep dive in the session today, in the webinar. And the main point is actionability. So for actionability, it means we need to have concrete ways to turn these customer insights into action to acquire, engage, and retain your customers. So the end goal is combine customer data in one system, ensure that accurate data is available and accessible, and deploy your campaigns leveraging this 360-degree view of customer data. With that, let me know, and maybe we have time at the end of the webinar for any question, and I will hand over back to Amin for the rest of the presentation.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Roberto, for that insight. Let me double check just the chat pane, see if there have been any questions that came through. It doesn't look like there are any questions at the moment, so let me make sure I have control. Really appreciate that insight there as far as the challenges and Google's vision, and really where Google's trying to be more accommodating as far as the enterprise analytics requirements and needs. So what I'd like to talk about for the rest of this webinar is a little bit more about Google Analytics Premium, as well as some best practices and how to actually get started when you're thinking about how to roll out an enterprise analytics measurement strategy. So the first thing I want to discuss is just a little bit more about the premium product. And to start, we have to understand that it's built off an amazing platform, and that is the Google Analytics Standard product. Google Analytics Standard is actually present on more than 50% of all websites across the globe. More than half the websites in the world have Google Analytics. The market share just for the traffic analysis tools that Google Analytics has, the standard product, is over 80%. So Google's definitely invested a lot of time and effort into building a really robust product, the free version, so that it can be easy to use and provide all of these capabilities here shown on the screen, from customer reports to segmentation capabilities, different ways to visualize your data, and really get a lot of insights out of it. So Google Analytics Premium is built on top of Google Analytics Standard. For those that don't know, it's about 95% the exact same look and feel and everything. Google Analytics Premium is just built with Google-sized improvements. So there's that 5% increase in capabilities that I'm going to go through here. The first part is the amount of custom data points. With Premium, you can capture 10 times more custom data points. So Google Analytics as a standard product captures over 200 data points about your users or sessions or pages as consumers are going across your sites and apps. But there's a capability to capture custom data around specifically your business or your users as they're logging in or your particular type of content. With Premium, you get 10 times more capability with that. So there are some limits to how much custom data you can capture with the standard version. Premium is extremely higher in that regard. Also, with any free product, there are some limitations to processing, if you will. Google Analytics, comparatively to other analytics tools, is very rapid. For the standard version, between 24 and 48 hours processing time. So that's how fresh the data is. With Premium, it's within the same day. It's within 4 hours. And from our experience, it's even within a single hour at some time. So Google Analytics Premium and really the Google Enterprise team, they put a lot of processing power into Google Analytics Premium to get you that data at the time that might be most relevant, which is same day or in a much shorter time frame for all of your data to be processed. On top of that, there's a lot more segmentation capabilities. So for those that might be on the call right now that have a lot of sessions, a lot of users coming to their various websites and properties, in the UI of Google Analytics Standard, to keep the processing quick and show you the reports very, very quickly, sometimes there might be some sampling put in play where not all the sessions or user interactions might be displayed, just to keep the processing fast. With Google Analytics Premium, to keep that processing speed in the UI extremely fast, but still provide a higher level of segmentation, Google beefed up how much data can be shown right there in the UI. So there's a lot more segmentation capabilities because you have a lot more access to all of your sessions right there in the user interface. And then, of course, there's significant increases in the size of the reports, specifically for how much rows and data tables that can be shown right there in the UI, as well as the higher limits. So with any free product, there are limits to how much information can be actually passed on a monthly basis into that system. Premium has 2,000 times more data limits or ability to capture information. So it's really more of what customers need, and with these Google size improvements, to match an enterprise that might have multiple sites, multiple brands, multiple regions, all passing data into one system so that you can have cross-regional or cross-brand analysis. All of these improvements are designed to fit that enterprise model. Furthermore, with Google Analytics Premium, there's enhancements or advanced features and integration points available beyond the standard version. For those that might be using the DoubleClick marketing suite, there's automatic integrations between DoubleClick Campaign Manager, DoubleClick Bid Manager, to really pass information between these two systems seamlessly so that both can be improved. So there's richer data in Google Analytics Premium, or more segmentation capabilities and targeting capabilities in the DoubleClick suites. There's also data-driven attribution capabilities, which I'm going to talk a little bit further with some specific examples later on. But really, that's to take all that information in Google Analytics and help use machine learning to give you some insights and actionability. Again, to Roberto's point earlier, Google Analytics Premium was designed to drive actionability, not just data storage, but actually make decisions and improve marketing. Now, on the far right here, other capabilities specifically designed for the enterprises, the multi-site, multi-brand kind of companies, include roll-up reporting. So various organizations we've worked with want different types of reports depending on who you're talking to within the organization. Whether it's a VP of marketing across an entire continent, they might want to see across all different brands some data. Or a marketing manager for a specific region, they might want to dive a little bit deeper into that local markets analysis. Google Analytics Premium is designed to provide that kind of hierarchy within how data is presented, so it can match an enterprise structure, and it's labeled as roll-up reporting there. So you can see at the enterprise view and all the way down at the local view. And then the Google Cloud Platform, that's not only, like I mentioned before, the extra processing power within Google Analytics Premium, but also the integrations with the big data solution Google has, BigQuery, and some opportunities there that I'll also get a little bit deeper into in a few slides. Another strong need for enterprises as they're looking for a tool that's sustainable or built for the amount of information and requirements that an enterprise might need is the security and reliability that comes behind it. So with Google Analytics Premium, it's all backed by these different options here for security and reliability, from the data freshness, which I described before, to actually having some SLAs, service level agreements, in place. But it also comes with support. So whether it's with a partner like ourselves or directly with Google, you'll have a dedicated account manager, implementation support, support ongoing for technical questions, trainings, all baked into the actual premium package. Compared to Google Analytics Standard, which many of you users might have experienced, there's a really strong user community globally. It's the largest user community for any analytics platform. But there's no phone number to call if there's something broken or if there's an issue, or how to take advantage of new capabilities, new betas, and try new exciting things to really take your analytics and your marketing to that next level. With Premium, that's all baked in with the support and the team that comes with the Premium package. Now, to tie back to what Roberto mentioned earlier before with Google Analytics serving as kind of the central hub for that single customer view and really designed to have the capabilities of showing that 360 view around your users. With the Google products, and one thing that Google's trying very hard to do is the seamless integration is almost baked into Google Analytics Premium. So I discussed a little bit how the DoubleClick stack can feed data into GA and take data out of GA to optimize. But it goes beyond just the marketing tools like AdWords or DoubleClick and YouTube, but also Webmaster Tools can have data fed into Google Analytics Premium for a little bit more richer analysis capabilities. And then also all of that information can be taken out of Google Analytics, exported into Google Drive and Sheets for a little bit more custom visualizations or reporting needs, as well as Google's big data product, BigQuery, there as well. So in context of an enterprise, having one system like Google Analytics with all the pre-built reports and custom reports and capabilities in the UI is great. But sometimes there's a need to look across multiple segments and build specific charts that are a little bit more fitting for your upper management or the boards, etc. And that's where a Google Sheets, export to Google Sheets might be useful. Yes, Roberto.
Apologies to interrupt. I think there are some questions in the Dory. A lot of people is not able to see your screen. I'm not sure if you're sharing your screen or there is an issue. Just to check meanwhile.
All right. Sorry about that. Thank you, Roberto. Can you see my screen now? Okay. Thank you, Amar. I guess the good news is that this webinar is being recorded, so the slides will be provided after the fact, of course. So definitely, if you're interested in the slides that I just went over, I think it was only 1 or 2 slides. We can reference that there later. But I guess just to wrap up this thought here, this is how the Google stack or the Google products can be integrated together. Again, to match how Roberto explained earlier that Google's striving to build an enterprise platform that can connect all of these different systems, because a common challenge with enterprises is the amount of different data systems that live in different places. How do you connect it all and really get some insights and actionability out of that? So with Google products, these are all baked in. These all plug and play. Google Analytics Premium does have capabilities to connect to other systems, and we'll get into those capabilities here in a minute. Now, one thing I want to explain as well, as far as the connection between marketing channels and Google Analytics Premium, is not only to see sessions and revenue and activity on the site that happened after users came from these different marketing channels, but also the pre-session activity that might have occurred. Clicks, impressions, and even cost of your different marketing channels or advertising that you're doing can also be pushed into Google Analytics. This is really useful when you're trying to understand ROI around different marketing channels or what you're doing off-site that's bringing users to the site. So with pulling in, for example, cost data from these different channels, you'll automatically be able to see metrics calculated for return on advertising spend or return per click right there baked into Google Analytics. And eventually this will also power the data-driven attribution model to really give you more sophisticated optimization opportunities. So speaking of the data-driven attribution model, I guess just to take a step back and explain, when looking in Google Analytics, the standard or out-of-box attribution model for most reports is last click. So the last interaction a user had before landing on the site, that's what most of the standard reports show right there out of the box. There are some attribution modeling reports and multi-channel funnel reports that show you before that last click, what kind of interactions did users have with your brand or your marketing that might have ultimately drove a conversion later on. Now, what Google Analytics Premium can provide is a data-driven attribution model, which essentially it's a sophisticated algorithm or machine learning that takes all of the data that's captured in Google Analytics, from sessions, revenue, where users are coming from, even cost, click, and impressions if you're feeding that in. And it generates a data-driven model for you to better attribute different channels that users are interacting with back to that conversion. So instead of always giving 100% to that last click, that last interaction a user might have had before coming to the site and converting, it'll look across all of your channels, across all the touch points in the consumer's journey or path to purchase, and give you a data-driven model of how to better attribute certain channels. When you compare that to your standard model or your normal model, for most people it would be last click, you can begin to identify which channels or parts of the consumer's path to purchase or path to conversion can be optimized, or some testing can come out of it as far as messaging or where to reallocate your budget so that you can potentially see an increase in the conversion rate. So that's what this illustration here is showing, is how data-driven attribution models can give you some opportunities to optimize your marketing across the different channels and consumers' path to purchase. Now, to talk a little bit more about BigQuery, or at least the big data opportunities here, with Google Analytics, there's tons of API capabilities to export data out of Google Analytics. So a lot of enterprises that we've talked to in the past, again, have so many different tools and data sets in different places, and they also have agreements with different dashboarding tools, et cetera, and how to make sense of all of it. Well, with Google Analytics, not only can you feed all the data in, but you can also grab the data out and put it into different systems using the unsampled API or with the BigQuery integration. So with Google Analytics Premium, there is an automatic integration with Google's big data solution, BigQuery, which is actually also a separate pricing model entirely, but with Google Analytics Premium, as an enterprise that has that, you'll have some access to it with some discounts, if you will. But this will allow you to not only grab all the data out of your web analytics platform, which in this case is Google Analytics, but also from your backend systems and overlay different data sets together into this big data system and really get to the granular microscopic detail or type of analysis that your team might need to have, or if you have a data science team, the ones that they require. They can also connect simply with one click to Tableau and other dashboarding tools, so you can have prettier charts, graphs, etc., visualizations, if you will, for your organization. So one example that I want to walk through a little bit of how this is applicable, or what we've done in the past to integrate all these systems together. So this is just a model of what we've implemented for a particular customer that was interested in really getting a personalized user experience, leveraging the data that they have from all of these different systems. So to take you from the left to the right here, users can come to the site from different search campaigns, display campaigns, or what have you, different channels. When they land on your site, there's data collected around that user that's passed both to Google Analytics and their backend customer data bases. By connecting those systems together, the backend user database that also might be getting data fed in from offline activity, such as support calls or in-person visits to a store or what have you, passing that back into Google Analytics and integrating that data together, you can then rebuild or set up new targeted segments to pass back to those channels that you originally were advertising on to remarket to your users in a much more targeted and personalized way. So you take the data about what they did on the site or what they did off-site, crunch it back into GA, feed it, again, back out to those different channels that you're using, in this case, remarketing on search or personal or emails, to have a personalized message sent out to those users. So then once they come back to the site itself is also personalized with the same message, same targeting. And this can be done with the proper integrations in place. And of course, included in there for the teams that have analysts or data scientists, there's opportunities there to run models and deliver insights all along the way. One slide we wanted to include as a reference, just to have a little bit more specific numbers to show the differences between Google Analytics Standard and Google Analytics Premium, is this here. And I'm not going to go through each row in detail. This is definitely for reference, but the major categories to show the differences between the standard version and the premium version include higher data processing or more powerful data processing capabilities, flexible and customizable reporting features, whether that's more custom information you can track or the data-driven attribution model that's created for you by the machine learning baked into GAP, or just how you can power different marketing systems. Again, with the double-click integration, which is only with Google Analytics Premium, you can pass that data between those two systems. But the major differences that I mentioned before is really the world-class enterprise support and the service level agreements. As an enterprise organization, these are required because there's so many different components at play, and to really have someone on call or available to potentially fix issues or build a strategy, build an architecture that's sustainable so it can grow with your organization, but then also innovate. Think of new ideas and how to leverage new betas that Google might be building, because Google innovates their product almost on a daily basis, as Roberto, I'm sure, could share. So having that partner in place, or that resource to really take your analytics to that next level, that doesn't come with the GA standard product, it's more self-taught, that does come automatically with the GA Premium package. I'm going to quickly check to see if there's been any other questions or comments. Okay. And I guess we are sharing the screen still, so that's good. For this last section, I wanted to talk a little bit about implementation best practices. So almost the takeaway. We talked about the challenges with data, solving those challenges with GA, features and capabilities with Google Analytics Premium, and now it's about, okay, where do we get started? How do we move forward? So getting started, we always like to look at a few components. Definitely need to put together some objectives. Having and wanting everything under the sun is great, but without some clear objectives, it's almost analysis by paralysis. There's too much to actually get started. As Roberto mentioned earlier, breaking down the high-level big goal into smaller chunks and actually tackling it one at a time, that's a good way to get started. Understanding your processes within your enterprise organization, whether you need very close technical team involvement or who needs to be in play, that's important. And then getting commitment, not just from end users, but also the stakeholders and different individuals that might be leveraging this data or needing these enterprise analytics available to them. So what we like to do initially before we even get started with anything is focus on outcomes and key results, or OKRs. This is a project management or model that Google follows and that we follow as well, as put together some outcomes, some goals that you're trying to achieve with your enterprise analytics solution, and then key results to actually achieve those outcomes. So the outcomes are pretty standard as well. I mean, from our experience on working with multiple organizations, these are the general outcomes that are desired with analytics: is how do we increase user base? How can we optimize user experience? And ultimately drive sales or conversions. But the key one there is, how do we get it right with a small execution team? So deploying enterprise analytics might sound like a huge daunting task, but with the steps I'm going to describe in the next couple of slides, you don't need a huge multinational organization or team to roll it out. Just a small tactical team following some key steps and having some key results there to guide the path. So these are some general key results that we recommend, or that we help organizations put together when we're working with them. The measurement standards across different multi-site organizations, multi-brands, etc. Scalable architecture from a technical perspective, and I'll give some examples of what that actually means. And then how to really plug in all the different components and different systems together, but consistently thinking about iterative, ongoing improvement. So yes, starting small, maybe running a short pilot and then layering it on that. And if you have a scalable architecture, that's very doable. You start with the basic on one platform, and then you roll it out from there. So some best practices that we've engaged with different organizations is putting together a plan, which essentially is a combination of the wish list, requirements, needs analysis that you do up front, as well as the implementation or the specific rollout with timeline put together there. We always recommend leveraging a data layer and tag management system from a technical perspective, just because it's a more scalable. Again, thinking from an enterprise or large organization perspective that has multiple sites or multiple things at play, having a standardization of how things are named, a nomenclature, or tracked, or should be deployed is pretty critical there. We also include there sometimes, to get started, is just picking a pilot site, having a quick win, if you will, and refining your process as you're rolling this out for one particular brand or site or region, and then continuous testing and improvement as well. Wanted to throw in here one quick slide about the technical best practice, because when I mentioned before, and when I bring up in past conversations using the data layer and tag management system, it's it's hard to really grasp. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this technical component, but I want to just explain for different sites or different applications, tracking in a consolidated, standardized way can be easy. Essentially adding a data layer, which is nothing more than a section on your site or mobile app that collects information. It's just as a place that aggregates information about your users, your sessions, your page views, whatever you want to track. It just puts it together in one place. And that'll be accessible and standardized across multiple different sites. The reason a data layer can be valuable is because some sites that might be smaller or some apps that might not have as robust interface, if you will, might have not a lot of information to track, but it can still live in the data layer. Compared to a massive publishing site or something like that, their data layer might be extremely massive, but the process is the same. It's a section on the site that aggregates your information in one place so that a tag management system, such as Google Tag Manager, can read right out of that. And there's this concept of data layer push, which essentially means adding more information into your data layer or section of your site or app that holds information so that Google Tag Manager can read out of it and pass it into Google Analytics. So this is just, again, an introduction to the technical best practice when you're thinking about how do we roll out analytics across an organization. Very important to get buy-in from multiple parties and needs analysis, but from a technical perspective, standardizing how tracking is deployed is very, very key so that you can really measure apples to apples across different regions or brands once you roll this out on multiple sites and regions. Again, if that was not clear, feel free to post in the chat pane any questions. We'll also have time at the very end. What we always do for organizations we work with is put together a rollout plan. This is more just as we're working to make sure we're hitting milestones along the way and have different steps happen in sequential orders since they layer on top of each other. So obviously getting business goals, measurement requirements, translating those goals into what metrics and dimensions need to be collected, and then actually putting together the plan to roll this out. And checking in regularly with the team to see how are we going as far as hitting milestones or getting to that place where we have data in a good data collection or architecture there deployed and in a place where we can start analyzing. One suggestion that we find very useful when we're working with organizations is how to clearly communicate milestones. Different enterprises have different processes for how to communicate status of projects, whether it's Word documents and emails. We always like to build a Google site, also a free option from Google, just to consolidate all the information about this project, trainings, etc. But most importantly, the milestones and checkpoints. Again, thinking back to the outcomes and key results, are we actually achieving the key results that we need to in a timely manner? So we're not trying to take it all in at once and deploy this in 1 year. It's an iterative short milestones that we're building on top of each other. Some other tools that I wanted to share, again, as a takeaway for those that might be interested in taking your analytics to the next level, include how to enrich your data. So a tool here, Analyzely, this is a tool we actually built, allows you to integrate non-Google owned property data into Google Analytics. So what we mentioned before and what Roberto showed and I showed again with Google Analytics being the center that connects DoubleClick, YouTube, and all these external systems together, Google Analytics has capability with their data import process to add in additional information from non-Google owned properties. This tool, Analyzely, automates that. So it simplifies the process of getting the clicks, impressions, cost of channels that aren't Google owned, so that again you can see the ROI behind those, or even user data from your backend systems to really automate the process of enriching your data in GA. So it's a very powerful tool. I encourage everyone to check it out. Shameless plug. Another tool that we built honestly because it's highly required is Tag Inspector for validation and testing. So oftentimes as you start to roll out an enterprise analytics architecture or just improve tracking, things might be deployed and stop tracking or tracking correctly, or later on after the completion of a project where you have analytics in place, enhancements might ultimately cause data accuracy to fall a little bit because there's just so many changes, so many moving parts with site updates. So this tool here, it's a free tool to use up to a limit, is Tag Inspector, which allows you to audit your site and ensure proper deployment and proper tracking of Google Analytics. Very important, again, with constant testing and improvements to get to that architecture that you want to get to. Validation and testing can be very time consuming and cumbersome, but that's why there's automated tools to help you with that. So to wrap up the webinar here, since I think we're about out of time, how to get started. These are the steps that we recommend or that we go through with different partners as we roll out an enterprise analytics architecture. Alignment with stakeholders, developing the standards and the architecture that goes across the entire enterprise, leveraging the data layer, leveraging tag management systems, etc. That's where you can actually get started. And then thinking about scope, resource allocation, how to communicate the project, that's all part of rolling that out and iteratively improving as you go. So this is where we recommend to get started. So with that, I'm going to jump to questions and just leave it on this slide here for our upcoming events. And of course, I'm here in Dubai. For anyone that's local in Dubai, feel free to reach out to me. But with that, I'm going to go over to the chat pane and questions panel and see if there's any outstanding questions or things we can clarify. And if not, apologize for the screen sharing snafu a little bit earlier, but we will send out the recording of this webinar in a few days for sure. And feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any further questions. But thank you so much for joining. We have future webinars once a month for the rest of the year. So with different varying topics, I encourage everyone to join those as well. We do have a question come in. Is there a specific industry that can leverage GAP better? Great question. I guess I'll go ahead and answer that, and then Roberto, if you want to jump in as well, I'll pass it over to you. Really, Google Analytics and Google Analytics Premium can be leveraged by multiple different industries. In my mind, the organizations that can leverage GA Premium are the ones that really want to be data-driven and that have goals to leverage a lot more of their information among different systems, different tools, and use GA or use analytics to power their marketing. So whether that's a publishing company or media to actually understand what users are interested in and in real time feed content based on their previous interests, Google Analytics Premium might be a fit for that. Or if it's e-commerce or travel industry where there's so many users that have varying requirements and there's a lot of channels that are used to bring users to the site, getting that visibility into which channels are providing the highest ROI for new members or returning members to complete a purchase, Google Analytics Premium data-driven attribution and such can be helpful for that. So I would say it's not industry specific, it's more organization specific and their ambitions to be data-driven. But Roberto, if you want to add on to that question about specific industries.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with your perspective and what you shared. We have references and customers across many different verticals. So I would also quote the fact that it's not really industry specific. It's more organizations that have different needs, different levels of maturity, and wants to become more data driven, and they can tackle this data conversation, these data solutions from many different angles. So we have customers more transactional e-commerce that need to leverage better custom funnels, better understand the engagement of the users across the funnel, and are very more focused on conversions. But you also have customers more in branding or more focused on upper funnel, and they want to better understand the customer journey and how, from a measurement perspective, how I can do better branding messages and better engagement with their customers. So we have a wider range of solutions. And exactly, the approach is better understand the customer needs and then see where there is a fit. Of course, the more we talk each other and across also the other educational series in these webinars, the more we can further deep dive into specific use cases from different verticals as another way to show that we have customers representing a wide range of challenges and opportunities and needs that can leverage these kind of solutions.
Great. Well, I think at this point we are a little bit over, so we'll go ahead and end the webinar now. If there's any follow-up questions, feel free to ping us, contact us, and of course the recording will be sent out to you after the webinar in a couple of days, of course. So again, thanks so much everybody for joining. Thank you so much, Roberto, for presenting with us today, and wish everyone a good weekend and good rest of the week.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the week.